All right, it's summer here in College Park, so we're taking a little bit of time to get to know our Maryland women's basketball team. Now I'm joined by Saylor Poffenbarger. Happy summer. Good to see you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So I want to start with something. I actually went and rewatched the video again last night because it might be, with all due respect to our crew here, one of my favorite videos the athletic department's ever done. It's about 30 seconds, and it's you sneaking into Coach B's office to tell her that you're coming home.
Yes.
And I mean, it's this great moment where like she's kind of confused at first, and then she just shoots up out of her chair, gives you the biggest hug, and then kind of steps back and like looks at you again, and it really hits her and just gives you an even bigger hug. So when you decided to come back to Maryland, what was it like? What went into that surprise, I guess? Did you know you wanted to surprise her?
Honestly, I just felt like I needed to do something big. Being from Maryland, like I've built a relationship with Brenda since I was really young, and I think coming back was super special. And honestly, I was talking to my dad, and I was just like, I knew where I wanted to go. I was kind of, sitting on it to be sure about it. And he was like, why don't you just come home and do it in person? And I was like, honestly, it's a great idea. And so we all came down. Shai was really helpful. She like kind of orchestrated everything for me. And then they were actually like ironically in a coaches meeting, like planning. And so I was able to walk and see everybody, which was honestly perfect. But I just wanted to do something in person, just a full circle moment, being able to come home. Like obviously my first meeting was in that office when she offered me. And so being able to, make my final decision was really fun. It meant a lot, and it was special to be able to do it with everyone there.
And it made for just an amazing clip for everybody to see. So I guess kind of take us back down that path a little bit, because you went to the camps growing up. You've known Brenda for a long time. When did that relationship kind of start, and then how did it kind of pan out after that?
It started like 7th grade. My team came and played at a team camp here, and she had brought me into her office for a meeting and offered me. And I remember crying after telling my mom I'm coming to Maryland. And my mom was like, you're 13 years old, like let's take a chill, like you don't even really know what it means to have a full ride. And so I ended up, continuing to build that relationship. I was, building with all the assistants. I've talked to a lot of assistants that aren't even here anymore. And then obviously like when new staff would come, I would continue to build that relationship. And Brenda just always was super honest and, super authentic. I think she's a very genuine person. And so building that, it felt very safe. It almost felt like a mom to me. And I mean, yes, I made a couple decisions that didn't align, but I just think like starting that from a really young age is, the reason why we are as close as we are right now and have that relationship that we have is because it is built on a platform. And I think that was really special to me to end my career here, having that trust in her and being able to, know what I'm going to get, and she's going to push me and she has the best interest for me. So yes, that relationship from, a young age is really helpful right now.
Well, you mentioned your mom there, and she was a great player in her own right, Missouri, is that right? And so what was it kind of like being able to grow up and learn from her, have her in your corner?
It was really special. I think a lot of, my IQ comes from her. She's a very smart basketball player. Having her coaching me throughout AAU, high school, I think kind of built me into the player I am. I think it's nice when you have someone that has done it before. Sometimes I have a hard time, learning from someone that just tells you what to do.
Right.
So I think for her, it's like she has the film, she has the stats to back it up. And I think she did it before, so she was kind of able to, talk me through what she wished she would have done or whatever. And I think, it was very useful for me, and just being able to have that insight. Even now, like I call her after games and she's, super beneficial. Sometimes, I don't want to hear it but I think having her in my corners throughout my entire career has been very helpful.
And you grew up in a very athletic family. Correct me if I'm wrong, did you have a basketball court like in your house or at your house?
Yeah, I still do.
Okay, walk us through that, because I'm very jealous. And there was like a gym and a full-size basketball court?
Yeah, it's a full-size basketball court.
Indoor or outdoor?
Indoor.
Okay, that's sick.
Yeah, we are very blessed. But my mom ran camps when we were younger, and so my dad's like one of those guys where like if you tell him you want something, like he's gonna try to do everything. Like he was like amazing to us as kids. Like we had the best childhood. Like I always say, if I could give my kids half of what my dad gave us, they would be very lucky. But my mom started running camps, and my dad just was like, why don't we build a gym? Like you run all these camps, we all play basketball. All of our community used our gym growing up, and he ended up building us. It had 6 courts. It was a full court, full NBA size. And my mom would literally run camps out of it. And we would have all of my teams practice there growing up. All my brother's teams practice there growing up,
wow.
AAU teams. So it definitely got its use. And we were very lucky because, we could never have an excuse if a gym wasn't open.
I was going to say,
so
you
we
can't
were
be
always
late
able
for
to work
practice.
out. We could never be late for practice, nothing. We never could miss anything.
So how was that? Because I feel that's a lot of basketball growing up. And obviously you love it, your whole family loves it. Were there kind of moments where it's just like, I want to do something else a little bit and just kind of not be in the gym, not be, putting up shots.
Yeah, that's kind of, I struggled a little bit during COVID. I think like during COVID, that was kind of all I had was basketball, and it almost felt a little overwhelming. There wasn't like an outlet. And I think, when it wasn't COVID, I was able to, hang out with my friends, go to school and like get my workouts in, but it wasn't like the main thing.
Right.
And so during COVID, I felt like it was the main thing. That was all I could do. Like, it was like, I was bored and my parents were like, oh, go to the gym. And I'm like, okay, like I've already been in the gym for 2 hours. And so I struggled there. I feel like I kind of lost my love for basketball and like my competitive nature. And I think that kind of is a little of what happened to me at UConn as well. Like I went in and I wasn't, as competitive or as happy and like as driven as I had always been. And I think that kind of led to my transfer to Arkansas to love basketball again, which then leads me here as I wanted to compete at the highest level again. So I think, yes, it definitely, there was a couple of years where it wasn't the same and I could tell like going to basketball wasn't as fun.
Right.
But I'm very happy that I was able to get that back because, my entire childhood was basketball.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to go out with that same love and appreciation for the sport because it's done like so much for me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, leave it on the court kind of thing. It's like, well, the court's next to the living room. So like, I don't really know what you want me to do.
Literally.
I can't really leave it there.
Yeah.
So, and especially, your parents being so into basketball too. We kind of talk about some of the things outside of basketball. We go on like the websites and as broadcasters, we like read all your bios and everything. And I always love like the personal sections. And on yours, in one line, verbatim, it just says, favorite color is pink and she loves sharks. And in one line, that's just very funny to me. So you're wearing pink shoes right now. So
yes,
already kind of,
about sums me up.
Yeah. So what about the sharks? Where did that come from?
Well, growing up, my dad and I would always watch Jaws. And if you want to pan it on my shark tattoo too.
Oh, there you go.
But growing up, like we would always watch Jaws, and it was kind of like a bonding point for me and my dad. Like it was something that we shared in common. He would always take me like down to the aquarium. The Baltimore Aquarium especially has like a huge section of sharks, and I always would go like out fishing with him. And like one time I remember we were in Ocean City actually, and our family friend caught a shark off the beach, and I remember like I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and for some reason like I wasn't scared of them. And so as I got older, like I just continued it. Like people gift me shark stuffed animals. Literally, I had surgery and Brie McDaniel got me this huge stuffed animal. It was a shark. It was so sweet. But I just think I've just like grown for, like, I don't know, me and my dad have just had fun with it. This past summer, we actually went fishing to catch a shark. We were very unsuccessful, but I don't know, like it's super random, but it's just like fun for me. But I love Shark Week. I love all the things that have to do with shark. I just think they're super cool animals. And I've seen this quote of like, sharks don't stop, like they can't stop swimming or they'll die, and so they just like continue to navigate. They keep swimming, they keep going, and I like that, and I try to apply that to me because no matter what, like you got to keep going no matter what comes at you. So yes, it's like also fun, but I also have like I try to like live by that.
Most kids, when they watch Jaws, their takeaway is not, man, I love sharks. It's, I never want to get in the ocean again. You kind of had the opposite experience to that.
Oh no, I don't like to get in the ocean.
Oh.
I like to see them.
Okay.
No. I would not want to be in their air. Like when it's their ground, like I'm in
stay clear. Yeah.
But I do like I'll get in the ocean, but like I'm not fearless.
Yeah.
I just am more fearless in the fact that I like to like go out and see them on a boat where I'm bigger than they are. Like
you can appreciate them from a distance.
Right.
That is fair. So we had Mira McLean in here earlier today as we're taping this. You guys have been very close. Kind of when did that friendship start developing, and now you get to play with one of your best friends?
Yes. Before we went to UConn, we actually played each other. It was my junior year. It was her senior year. And then we kind of met. That was like our initial, like obviously we had known of each other just being in Maryland. And once we got to UConn, honestly, it just like clicked. It's always been a super low maintenance friendship. And I love that about Mir because, we don't have to talk every day. We don't have to, be up each other, like doing all the things. And I think that, but we still like, have that respect and we know, where we stand. And I think that that's, how we've kept in touch through the transfer portal at UConn. We were obviously able to see each other all the time. We were super close. We did everything together. And then when she went to Virginia and I went to Arkansas, we stayed in touch. We were kind of that comfort for each other while we were navigating like a new situation. And we always stayed in touch just about life. And then whenever I came here and she was in the portal, I was like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, come on, it's home and I'm here and it's Maryland. And so we had that was another full circle moment, being able to end our careers together. And I think being able to play with her, it's awesome. We have that trust and we have that chemistry built up just from years past. And I think, being able to have each other, but also being able to meet new people, and like we know that we're each other's safe space is really special, and it's really nice to be able to finish our careers. We both have one more year left, and being able to go out, we've had adversity, we've had similar stories, and so being able to finish strong is really important to us.
And kind of that off the court bond leads to on the court success, and this program has always been really tight knit and really close. A lot of that has to do with Coach B. Like, what is it like to now fully be playing for her, and just how does she kind of cultivate that environment, I guess?
I just think she means what she says. I think you go on a lot of visits and they all say this is a big family, and I think she means that, and I think it shows when our coaches come in with their kids to practice and they're able to be there and it's not a distraction, and our coaches treat us like their own, and then Coach B treats us. We're all invited to each other, their houses. They welcome us into every part of their life, and I think it just translates to us in the locker room. We see how close they are and how well they get along, and how they work for each other, and I think it just makes us want to do the same. And we all come from different backgrounds, but yet I think that's what makes it so unique, is we all come together. And I know last year the team was super close, and I think this year it's a similar set of girls. It's a lot of girls that come from big families, and family's very important to them, and I think being able to translate that means a lot, because you work harder for each other, you love harder for each other, and I think there was a lot of games last year that represented how much we did care for each other. And so I just think she means what she says. She's not gonna be too crazy about it, but when she does say family is important, it really is, and it's every day represents that. And so I think that it's nice, obviously Mira's family, and then we all can come into this Maryland family, and I think she does a really good job showing that with how she works with her staff, and then translate to us wanting to do that in our locker room.
And you mentioned last season. Let's talk about that a little bit, because it was a season of ups and downs, but ultimately you guys went pretty far. When you reflect back on last year, what are your kind of big takeaways?
I think we learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot about resilience in a team, and I think sometimes we were counted out and we had players that missed games, and I think it just showed how much fight we had and how much depth that we had and the heart that we had. A lot of people showed up, continuing to talk about Mira, she showed up during Alabama, and I just think it's easy to be when Shy missed a couple games, they don't have Shy, and when Bree went down, those are huge pieces, but I think that it just taught us how resilient our team was and how much fight that we had. And I think again, just being able to carry that over to this year, it's not always about the talent, it's about the heart. And I think if we have people that work super hard, which we do, I think we'll be super successful. And just taking that from last year to this year, just, learning from that, there was definitely doubts that we had, but learning that that doesn't matter. And as long as we play hard and play together, we'll be successful.
You talked about heart and everything. That's something that you've always kind of really displayed, especially towards the end of last year. You were kind of playing through injury and stuff like that. You're now coming back for that injury going into this year. How do you kind of feel that your game has progressed from last year coming into this upcoming one?
Yeah, I think, after playing through injury, I learned a lot of mental toughness. I was having to make a lot of sacrifices to play and be in a lot of pain, but I think it's helped me a lot mentally, and, being able to recover. I've had downtime and just teaching myself the mental aspect. I think I put a lot of, work into my physical game of shooting, dribble, whatever, all those things. And I think taking time and really understanding myself has been very helpful for me this past couple months, and just showing myself strength through confidence or through different things that I struggled with has been really important. And I think it's just only going to help me when I am able and ready to get back on the court. And I think that next year, my mental aspect is going to be super beneficial, because it is my last year and I don't have any second chances. And so being able to leave everything out there and be as confident as I can, and for me and my teammates, is really going to be good.
And so, we kind of talk about last year going into this year, there's some new faces coming into the program. You're one of the more experienced players on the team. So you have the transfers coming in and you have the freshmen coming in. How do you kind of see your role on this team, just helping them kind of figure things out and get settled?
I definitely think I'm going to have to be a leader. I think last year I was a leader, but I think I kind of played the more quiet leader role of I kind of led by example. And I think this year I'm going to have to use my voice a lot more. Like you said, we do have 3 freshmen coming in that have never played college, and I think that there's a lot to be said about that. But I think just being able to, have them be able to look to me and, me guide them will be really beneficial, just helping them on and off the court, little things. I think having our transfer, voicing, how our system works, standing up for, the Maryland standard, and I think also leading by example, showing them, with work ethic and all of that, just, the trust that they will hopefully have in me. But I think I definitely will have to be a more vocal leader, because they're new to Maryland. They don't know the Maryland standard. They don't know the Maryland way. And so the only way to uphold that is to get them to be a part of it. And I think a lot of them I've seen Yarden, I've seen Alucci, and I think they're ready to work and they want to buy in. So I think that's half the battle. But I think overall, just working on being a more vocal leader rather than a lead by example. So I think that's where I'll need to step up.
Do you also plan on taking them to the best places to eat in College Park?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
I mean, the best place to eat is probably my kitchen, but that's biased.
Oh, okay. What's being chefed up in your kitchen?
A lot of steak, pasta. I grill steak now.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's the newest thing on my menu. I like shrimp, chicken Alfredos, but I've already told the girls they all like one day this week or next week, whenever, it's right now they're probably getting overwhelmed with a lot of things, but whenever it dies down, I'm gonna have the team over and I'm gonna cook.
Nice.
And so, but yeah, there's a lot to do here, so I'll have to show them.
What is, if you were kind of going to give them like a tour of College Park, what would be some of the stops, or just even the kind of DMV area?
I would definitely tell them to stop at Hook and Reel, but they're like sometimes when the transfers are coming, they're not too familiar with like seafood, so I have to show them like Maryland is like seafood.
Okay.
I really like the Green Turtle. Simple, but there's a lot there. And then Burton's is really good. Iron Rooster is really good. I feel like there's a lot of like local places that are really good, but those are the 4 that I would really take them to.
I think we were talking about how you guys might need to, some of the local players might need to teach some of the incoming players how to eat crabs and do that.
For sure.
Okay, so stay tuned for that kind of content coming up. Quickly before we go, just a couple quick fun questions. Mir has not recruited you into the book club just yet. It hasn't been successful.
She's trying. I like to read, but it takes me like a long time to read the book.
And they read fast.
She reads in like 2 days and she's done.
It's crazy.
And so I'm like, I don't want this to be a competition. Just like invite me in. But I did tell her I was going to buy a bookshelf, so she might have her hopes up.
There you go. So, okay, if we're not reading as much, are we watching anything? Movies, TV, what are we into?
I'm watching Love Island right now.
Yeah?
Yes, very into that.
Okay.
I'm not caught up though, so I can't go on TikTok because it's getting ruined. But
That's fair. Spoilers.
Yes.
So if you were to have a walk-up song like how they have in baseball, what would you choose as your like walk-up song?
My alter ego would definitely be something Lotto, probably like Brokey.
Okay, very cool. All right, you heard it here first. So Sharks, great food, a lot of stuff going on in Saylor Poffenbarger's life. So we will catch you next time here with the women's basketball team.